Hey, it's Derek with Golden Black Radio. The holiday season is here, and Academy Sports and Outdoors has the legendary gifts you need at undefeatable prices every day. Shop in store or online at academy.com to save on gifts on everybody's list, from football jerseys and basketball hoops to fire pits and deer stands. The most wonderful time of the year happens here. This Christmas, give the gift of fun from Academy Sports and Outdoors. Welcome into another edition of Gold and Black Radio, presented by Academy Sports and Outdoors. I'm your host, Derek Schultz. Purdue men's basketball returned to the friendly confines of Mackey Arena and enjoyed a comfortable Black Friday win over Eastern Illinois. We're going to talk about that one and look forward to the start of a Big Ten season at a place that has been very, very tricky, historically at least, for the top-ranked Boilers. Here in just a few minutes as Brian Neubert will join us. But first, a big thank you to our tremendous Gold and Black sponsors that make this show possible, including Purdue Federal Credit Union, a proud partner of Purdue Athletics and the official credit card for Purdue fans. Boiler Up. East End Grill and Ripple and Company, two distinctive bistros across the street from one another on the far end of Main Street, the perfect place for your next event. The Whitaker Inn, this Midwestern oasis, is perfect for relaxing staycation or a weekend getaway. Escape from the ordinary at the Whitaker Inn. By Sand Valley Resort, ready for a winter getaway? Discover the stillness and beauty of Sand Valley. Our stunning 12,000-acre landscape is perfect for exploring, whether you're cross-country skiing, enjoying a quiet walk, or just relaxing by the fire. With thoughtfully designed accommodations and nourishing dining, Sand Valley is the place to reconnect with yourself and those you love. Find your winter retreat at sandvalley.com. And finally, the Purdue Institute for Cancer Research. The Purdue Institute for Cancer Research has a history of innovation and one goal for the future: defeat cancer. Purdue brings together world-class Boilermaker scientists from all across the university, conducting cutting-edge research that uncovers new ways to prevent, diagnose, and treat cancer. With your support, cancer research saves lives. Join the fight and donate to the Purdue Institute for Cancer Research today. Let's welcome on our favorite goldenblack.com columnist and basketball scribe/knower, Brian Neubert, to join us. Like I said, Brian, these games are what they are, right? You play a team like Eastern Illinois, you sort of know what you're doing, and Purdue actually does a pretty good job, and not a pretty good job, does a very good job in challenging themselves in the non-league schedule. But, even a team like EIU, I look at this and they win by, 57 points? Like, there's a degree of difficulty. Like, you have to be pretty good to beat even teams at this level by 50-something points, no?
Yeah, I think you spend a lot of time in those Academy sports stores. Every time we talk to one another, you're just leaving one of them. I don't know how you have any money left. No, I think Purdue, these are games scheduled by design. I think after the holiday, after your MTE trip, you kind of want to get some cardio in, before you start Big Ten play. And I think scheduling a team that you physically cannot lose to, I think, you have to fill out your season ticket package. You got to fill your schedule. So you have to have games like this. But I think easing back into things after those either the holiday or the trip out wherever you went, I think kind of insulates you from the lull that's bound to happen in that window of the schedule. And you saw that lull against Eastern Illinois, where Purdue turned the ball over a bunch of times in the first 10 minutes of the game, basically gave Eastern Illinois all its offense over that period. And then it just stopped, and Purdue went back to being Purdue. And in games like this, Purdue's good enough to just roll the ball out there and basically run its basic stuff, powered down, and still, break a game wide open and win by 50. Nobody should be beating their chest, for beating Eastern Illinois the way Purdue just beat Eastern Illinois. But it was kind of a stark dichotomy there between what can hold Purdue back and how hard it is to actually hold Purdue back.
Let's talk about Daniel Jacobson, because, look, I know the guy is 800 feet tall, right? That's unofficial, by the way.
Give or take.
And teams like Eastern Illinois are always going to have trouble, and we've seen that in the past with other Purdue 7-footers. But, not only a career high for him in 24 points, but Brian, if you go back to his last 5 games, and again, disclaimer, I know the dude's tall. He's missed 3 shots. He's missed 3 shots in the last 5 games. The efficiency that he's scoring and the field goal percentage, I mean, it's through the roof. What have you seen from him so far? Because essentially this is his freshman season sort of all over again, right? I mean, we only really saw him for a game and a half last year.
Yeah, and that's what I was about to say when you use the term career high. It's his most points in a 9-game span, basically, because he played a game and a half last year, and then this year. It wasn't even a half a game, was it? It was like a minute and a half. No, I think Daniel Jacobson has obviously really helped Purdue from a rim protection standpoint defensively, but I think his impact offensively, he's brought that flip up dunk back to Purdue, and he and Oscar Clough both have given Purdue targets around the basket. We're going to finish. I say this over and over again, but it is not really a compliment to say a team makes its dunks, but it is an insult when they don't. And last year's team did not make its dunks. They missed like a quarter of their dunks, and dunks should be 90% to 100%. And you look at the easy, efficient offense Purdue's getting around the rim from Oscar Clough and Daniel Jacobson, especially. It's been a game changer. It's going to get Braden Smith a bunch of assists. It's going to give Trey Kaufman-Renn more room to operate. It's going to get Trey Kaufman-Renn assists. It's going to give Purdue a really potent high-low dynamic offensively, and it's going to give defenses one more thing to worry about. As soon as people start backing up off of the ball to get with Daniel Jacobson to make sure he doesn't throw down a lob dunk on them in ball screen offense, Purdue's going to get some layups. Purdue's going to get some kick-out threes, and that sort of stuff really, really matters offensively. And cashing in on your opportunities absolutely positively matters a lot offensively, and Purdue's, making its dunks. Again, a backhanded compliment, but a big change from last season.
It was cool to sort of see Jakari Harris basically run the garbage time minutes, if you will, for the most part, even though, this was the type of game that felt like there was a lot of garbage time. But I was almost reminded that, and we just talked about him on last week's show, I know, Brian, but, with the way that the rotation is and all of that right now, it's hard to remember that there are guys that are, 9, 10, 11 on this roster that are really good players. And Jakari Harris is one of them, and got to show off a little bit of his offensive punch. Finally got some run, 25 minutes that he played in the game, and was able to put up 8 shots, which is a role that he has not been asked to play so far this season. And I understand that it's not always going to be that way for Jakari Harris, but I just appreciate the fact that, here's a kid that he has all of these tools in his bag. It's just he's willing to do whatever Matt Painter and the coaching staff tells him to do and fit wherever he needs to fit.
Yeah, one other quick point to make about size, foul accumulation. Huge deal. And Purdue's reaping the benefits of that again, because people have to wrestle with Oscar Clough and Daniel Jacobson. To your question about Jakari Harris, yes, but I do think, as opposed to him being 8, 9, 10, I think he's more like 5.5 in terms of the 10-man rotation. I think, as well as CJ Cox played in wherever the hell they just were, the Bahamas, there's going to be games this year where that flips, in big games, in meaningful games, where Jakari Harris plays that sort of role for Purdue, where he plays that well, and he guards at a really high level. He gets in transition. He makes threes. He's got to find his shooting rhythm. Not a new issue for him. He was awesome all summer. He showed in the exhibition games that didn't count that he can really, get hot from three. But right now, CJ Cox has a great thing going, playing off the ball, being ready to shoot in that corner. And Jakari Harris will get there and play that same role in a couple of games this year and help Purdue win some games. I think he's a perfect teammate. He's going to be a great role player on this year's team, and then he's going to be much more after that next season.
Purdue will have their Big Ten opener. It's still, I know they've been doing this for a couple of years now, Brian, but it still takes some getting used to for me, the fact that they play a Big Ten game in December. And they'll go to Jersey, your old stomping grounds, to take on Rutgers. And look, Rutgers got run off the floor by Tennessee. Rutgers lost to my best friend's alma mater, Central Connecticut State, where I partied 20-something years ago. They're not a good team. Unlike last year, they don't have 2 takeover guys that are both NBA players either. That said, it's been a house of horrors, really. And it's a tough trip. It's a tough trip to go to Jersey, and they play up for Purdue. And Purdue is, I think, getting used to getting everybody's best shot in Big Ten play. I mean, I know Matt Painter's not overlooking the game, but, a good or a bad thing. Maybe I think you could argue that it's a good thing for Purdue to just kind of get this one out of the way. No, the first one like this on the road, and you've already gone to Tuscaloosa and won. And sometimes I have felt like the timing of the December road game has been bad. And as you've seen in State College last year and in Piscataway a couple of years ago, it has been. But I wonder if Purdue is in a good position to kind of take this thing on, not only where they are right now, but where Rutgers is right now too.
Well, if they're not, they're in for a long look in the mirror when they come home, because it's not just been Rutgers. It's been Rutgers. It's been Penn State. It's been Northwestern. This particular Rutgers team, Purdue is not just head and shoulders better than them. They are head, shoulders, and torso better than this Rutgers team. This is not a high major basketball team. I also don't know how alive that crowd is going to be when they don't have something legitimately to root for. And us East Coast folks are fair weather types. And, when Rutgers isn't winning, it might just be just be the people in the neighborhood in Piscataway they're coming to the games. I don't know how it's going to be, but those crowds have been great. But they've been great when Rutgers has been good, when it's given them something to cheer about. At least last year, Rutgers stunk, but they had 2 lottery picks people could come out and watch. And Purdue still won that game pretty comfortably. Now, that wasn't the first Big Ten game in December. That, for whatever reason, has been Purdue's, poison pill every year. And you just can't do it this year. You just can't go 0-1 in the Big Ten against a team that has no business beating you. Because there's going to be competition in this Big Ten race. This isn't Purdue just being coronated this year. Michigan's going to be in there. Michigan State's going to be in there. UCLA is going to be a factor. This is not a one-horse race in the Big Ten this year, and Purdue cannot spot the field of game again like they have seemingly every year. Again, whether it's Nebraska, Rutgers, Penn State, Northwestern, you just can't do it this year. It's a great test for Purdue to deal with the transition to Big Ten play, the scheduling factors, things like that. But it's also just bare minimum at this point. Like, if you can't win at Rutgers when you're trying to win a Big Ten championship, when you're not the number 1 team in the country, that's something's missing there.
Yeah, and then Minnesota at home. So really, I mean, you have the 2 worst teams in the league right off the bat here, even though we've seen Purdue, like you said, kind of struggle in these games. But just this stretch in general here, Brian, not only, the trip to Rutgers, and then, you get another top 15 team in Iowa State, and then you have the Minnesota game, but then Marquette, and then Auburn and Indy, and then, even Kent State. Kent State's a good team that's expected to contend in the MAC, and then you go at Wisconsin, which is always a difficult place to play. How interested are you just to kind of see, what this stretch, how it plays out for Purdue? I understand that they're largely going to be favored in probably maybe every single one of these games, but a good mix of teams that are going to make the NCAA tournament, really outside of the Big Ten games. I mean, all those teams that I just listed are probably NCAA tournament teams.
Yeah. TV scheduled Purdue a 2-0 Big Ten start. Purdue just has to take it, which has been the issue we just talked about. But the Iowa State game is going to be a really high-end test. You really need Mackey Arena to help you out there, like it has historically done. Marquette's not quite the game that you expected it to be when you scheduled it, but you, again, need Mackey Arena to help you there. I'd expect Purdue to go into the resumption of Big Ten play at Wisconsin riding a pretty robust winning streak. I think Purdue's number 1 in the country for a reason. I think the standard I tend to view Purdue through is that of the number 1 team in the country. So sometimes when I'm a little bit of a picker of nits, as Joe Tiller would say, it's because the standard is so high for this team. But you should expect Purdue to be able to go to Rutgers, not just beat them, but own them. Minnesota shouldn't be a problem. Iowa State, historically, people coming to Mackey Arena don't fare well. I'd expect Purdue to win that game. Marquette, should be a pushover the way they're playing. Kent State, good team for their level, but for their level.
Sure.
Auburn and Indy, I think Purdue should be able to manage that one. But Purdue should be going to Wisconsin on a pretty robust winning streak, I would think, and kind of validating itself, if necessary, as the number 1 team in the country here. So, but Purdue's got to get better. Like, I think there might have been some positive in this Eastern Illinois, snooze fest to start the game, where Purdue is reminded, look what happens when we turn the ball over.
Yep.
This game was 19-19 against a team that, all due respect to Eastern Illinois, shouldn't be competing with Purdue, but Purdue kept them in the game with its own lack of sharpness. And maybe that's not the worst thing in the world. Purdue as a group has probably graduated past needing lessons, but that doesn't mean reminders aren't helpful. And it is pretty evident that the poison pill for this team is, again, turnovers. They're too good offensively to fritter away possessions, and they're good defensively, but they're not good enough defensively to spot the opponent double-digit scoring off their own mistakes. So just have to turn that into a positive by any means necessary, and kind of get hot here.
And even at number one, you always want to improve. I mean, you don't want to be as good as you are on, December 2nd. You don't want to be that good on March 2nd because then something probably went wrong.
Yes.
So, yeah, it'll be interesting. I mean, an interesting week. They go the tough trip to Jersey. Again, a Rutgers team that is not good. But then Iowa State, they're number 4 in Ken Pom. So who knows? I haven't even watched Iowa State this year, but I know that's a really good basketball team just from the metrics and all that. Too. Yeah. So it'll be interesting at Mackey Arena to see that one. You can check out Brian, of course, on goldenblack.com as a subscriber, get his thoughts, writings, and analysis. Also follow him on X at Brian Neubert. Appreciate it as always, my man. Thanks for always making time, and we will talk again next week.
Sounds good. Thanks, Derek.
That's our friend Brian Neubert, and that is our show for this week's edition. Down to 1 now with football in the rearview mirror, so we're back to a once-a-week schedule here on Gold and Black Radio, which I'm a little bit bummed about, but we'll still mix in Tom Dienard and Dub Jellison throughout the year. Obviously, we'll have a lot to talk about when it comes to the transfer portal and all of those things that we always like to discuss this time of year. The college football season never really ends, especially now with so much attrition and recruiting and, JUCO recruiting and just kind of a little bit of everything that you get with the college football season. It's just crazy. It's crazy. That's the only way that I can put it. Thanks so much to our presenting sponsors, Academy Sports and Outdoors, as well as Purdue Federal Credit Union, the official credit card for Purdue fans. East End Grill and Ripple and Company, 2 distinctive bistros across the street from one another on the far end of Main Street in Lafayette. The Whitaker Inn for unparalleled comfort and cuisine. Visit the Whitaker Inn. By Sand Valley Resort with thoughtfully designed accommodations and nourishing dining. Sand Valley is the place to reconnect with yourself and those you love. Find your winter retreat at sandvalley.com. And finally, the Purdue Institute for Cancer Research. The Purdue Institute for Cancer Research has a history of innovation and one goal for the future: defeat cancer. And going back to just our tremendous sponsors, again, a big thank you to all of them for making these shows possible and throughout our football season as well. I know Alan and really everybody on the entire team really greatly appreciates the sponsors that make this possible and all the people that listen that make this show possible as well. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button. Of course, you can leave a 5-star review and comment on your favorite podcast platform. We'd really appreciate that. Be sure to enable alerts as well as we upload new content just about every day, and become a subscriber. goldenblack.com. That's the name of the game. goldenblack.com for the absolute best Purdue coverage on the internet. So back to the once-a-week cadence. That means we will be back with you exactly a week from right now to talk about recap Rutgers and Iowa State and get back into Big Ten play with Minnesota and then Marquette. So the 2 M's next week, Minnesota and then Wisconsin, as we're just kind of chopping off the Midwestern states. We got Iowa this week. I guess Jersey is in the Midwestern state, but a Big Ten state at the very least, with Rutgers now being part of the league for whatever it's been, 12, 13, 14, 15 years. So we'll talk to you next time then. Until then, I'm Derek Schultz. Hope you enjoyed it. This has been Gold and Black Radio here at goldenblack.com. As you all know by now, Gold and Black Radio has also teamed up with BetMGM this season. We'll be using BetMGM lines to make all our picks, and we'll have special offers for our listeners each week. When you join BetMGM, you get access to a variety of parlay selection features like same-game parlays, live betting options, and more. If you haven't signed up for BetMGM yet, use bonus code ON3 and you'll get up to a $1,500 first bet. Offer on your first wager with BetMGM. Here's how it works. Download the BetMGM app and sign up using bonus code ON3. Deposit at least $10 and place your first wager on any game. You will receive up to $1,500 in bonus bets if your bet loses. Just make sure you use bonus code ON3 when you sign up. Make this college football season one for the history books. Make it legendary. See BetMGM.com for terms. 21 and over only. U.S. promotional offers not available in New York, Nevada, Ontario, or Puerto Rico. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. First bet offer for new customers only, subject to eligibility requirements. Rewards are non-withdrawable bonus bets that can expire in 7 days. In partnership with Kansas Crossing Casino and Hotel. Don't forget, if you haven't signed up for BetMGM yet, use bonus code ON3 and get your $1,500 first bet offer today.